Tired of replanting your containers every single spring? Spending good money on annuals that look stunning for a few months, then die the moment temperatures drop, and you're back at square one? There's a smarter way to garden, and most people completely overlook it. These 15 perennials come back stronger every single year, and once you know them, your containers will never be the same. Container gardening is one of the most satisfying and rewarding ways to grow plants. You control the soil, the placement, the drainage, everything works on your terms. But for years, mainstream gardening advice has pushed annuals as the go-to container plant. Petunias, impatiens, marigolds. Gorgeous? Absolutely. But the moment the season ends, they're gone, and that cycle of buying, planting, losing, and buying again gets old very fast. Perennials in containers change everything. They return year after year. They fill out and become more impressive with each passing season. And when you choose the right varieties, ones that genuinely love confined root space, the maintenance required is almost laughably low. The secret isn't just growing perennials, it's knowing which ones actually thrive in a pot rather than simply survive. These 15 do far more than survive. Starting with number 1, Coral Bells. Never grown heuchera in a container? That changes now. Coral bells are among the most versatile and visually stunning foliage plants available to gardeners, and the color range is genuinely extraordinary. Deep burgundy, lime green, caramel, silvery purple, bright amber. And here's what makes them special. That color lives in the leaves, not the flowers. From the moment they wake up in spring right through to late autumn, those ruffled, jewel-toned leaves hold court in any container arrangement. They prefer well-draining soil, something containers naturally provide, and they handle both sun and shade with equal grace, making them genuinely versatile regardless of where your patio or balcony sits. The delicate little flowers that appear on wiry stems in late spring are a bonus that pollinators adore. Even without those blooms, the foliage alone justifies every inch of container space. Pro tip worth noting: coral bells look extraordinary paired with contrasting textures. A deep purple heuchera alongside a feathery fern or a trailing plant creates a container combination that genuinely looks professional. Number 2, Japanese painted fern. That shady corner you've been struggling with? This is your solution. Japanese painted fern is arguably the most beautiful fern in cultivation, with fronds painted almost literally in silver, green, and deep burgundy. In certain lighting, it takes on a metallic sheen, and in a container, that effect becomes even more pronounced and dramatic. This fern thrives in partial to full shade and loves consistently moist, rich soil. Moisture levels you can control precisely in a container by grouping it with other shade-loving plants and staying attentive during dry spells. It dies back in winter and returns reliably each spring, often spreading a little wider. It's a natural companion to hostas and lungwort, both featured later in this list, because all three share the same love of shade and moisture. Together, they create a lush, layered, woodland-style container display that is genuinely breathtaking. Number 3, lamb's ear. This one surprises people every time. Lamb's ear is soft, silvery, and fuzzy, and once you've touched those velvet leaves, you completely understand the name. That silver-gray color is one of the most useful tones in gardening because it acts as a natural amplifier, making every other color around it pop with greater intensity. In containers, lamb's ear earns its keep immediately. It loves full sun, handles drought remarkably well once established, and spreads in a way that fills out pot edges beautifully. The soft purple flower spikes that appear in summer are a bee magnet. Because it tolerates heat and dry conditions so well, it's a wonderful choice for gardeners who want low-demand plants that largely look after themselves. The silvery trailing habit makes it a spectacular edge plant in larger containers,
And the color pairing with bold daylilies or rich coral bells is simply excellent. Number 4. Creeping phlox. Nothing in the spring garden quite matches the visual impact of creeping phlox in full bloom. This low-growing, spreading perennial produces such a dense carpet of tiny, 5-petaled flowers in purple, pink, white, and magenta that the foliage beneath almost completely disappears. Among spring bloomers available to container gardeners, few come close to this level of drama. Full sun and well-draining soil are what it needs, and containers deliver both without effort. Once the blooms fade, the foliage holds its own throughout the remainder of the season as a tidy, dense green mat. Over the edges of a container, it spills with exactly the kind of intentional, polished look that makes a display truly stand.
Worth mentioning, it's also strongly deer-resistant, which matters enormously in certain gardens. Number 5. Astilbe. Here's a plant that looks almost too exotic to be as easy as it actually is. Astilbe produces tall, feathery plumes of flowers in red, pink, white, lavender, and salmon that rise dramatically above deeply cut, fern-like foliage. The visual impact in a container is remarkable. Those plumes become an instant focal point that draws the eye from across the garden. Partial shade and consistently moist soil are its preferences, and containers let you deliver both with precision. The summer bloom period is perfectly timed, bridging the gap between spring bloomers and late-season perennials and keeping the display cohesive. When the flowers fade, the dried seed heads remain genuinely attractive well into autumn and winter, extending the season of interest considerably. Astilbe benefits from division every few years to stay vigorous, and that division gives you free plants to fill additional containers. It's a plant that rewards the gardener generously. Number 6. Ornamental grasses. Grouped here because the options are numerous and the principle is universal, grasses bring something almost no other plant can deliver: movement. Ornamental grasses sway in the lightest breeze in a way that adds life, energy, and a sense of natural rhythm to any container arrangement. Blue fescue offers compact blue-gray tufts. Carl Forster feather reedgrass delivers tall, vertical drama. Hakone cloa provides graceful, cascading golden blades, though that one earns its own entry later in this list. These plants require minimal maintenance, become drought-tolerant once established, and look beautiful in every season. Autumn and winter are where they truly shine. When many plants have gone dormant, grasses stand tall with their dried seed heads catching light and dancing in the wind. As the centerpiece thriller in a mixed container, nothing anchors a display quite like a well-chosen ornamental grass. Number 7. Sedum. This is the one mentioned at the very start. The plant almost nobody considers putting in a pot, yet one that absolutely belongs there. Sedum, particularly the upright varieties like Autumn Joy, is one of the most underrated container perennials in existence. The common association with ground covers is understandable, but the upright varieties behave entirely differently. They form gorgeous architectural mounds of succulent foliage, topped in late summer and autumn by large, flat flower heads that begin as creamy green, slowly deepen to rich pink, and ultimately mature to a warm copper bronze as winter approaches. That color progression delivers visual interest from late summer all the way through winter, a remarkably long season from a single plant. Because sedum is succulent in nature, it stores water in its thick, fleshy leaves and handles drought with ease. Watering frequency can be reduced significantly compared to most other container plants. Late-season pollinators, butterflies in particular, are drawn to sedum in extraordinary numbers. At a time when most gardens are winding down, containers planted with sedum will be alive with wildlife. Among all the plants on this list, few offer this combination of low effort and extended seasonal reward. Number 8. Daylilies. Few perennials match the sheer visual impact of daylilies, and they adapt to container life with surprising ease. Each individual flower lasts exactly 1 day, hence the name, but the plants produce buds in such abundance that weeks of continuous overlapping bloom are the result. The color range is among the widest of any garden plant: pure white, pale lemon, peach, coral, deep red, grape purple, and shades approaching near. Full sun suits them best. Drought tolerance develops quickly once established, and the strappy foliage remains attractive both before and after the bloom period. Many varieties rebloom later in the season, and pest and disease problems are genuinely rare. For containers specifically, compact and miniature varieties are the smart choice. Stella d'Oro has become a classic for exactly this reason: small, repeat blooming, extraordinarily tough, and reliably beautiful. Number 9. Clematis. Here's the choice for container gardeners who want to think vertically. Clematis is among the most spectacular flowering vines in cultivation, and with a trellis, obelisk, or bamboo tripod placed in the pot, it climbs and flowers with a beauty that stops people in their tracks. The variety options are extensive: large flowered types in purple, pink, red, and white, smaller bell-flowered types with a more delicate character, and sweet autumn clematis for late-season fragrant bloom. Container growing works well for most varieties as long as the pot is generously sized, drainage is excellent, and moisture is maintained consistently. The classic wisdom about clematis, roots in shade, head in sun, applies equally in a container. Placing a flat stone or a low ground cover plant over the soil surface keeps the root zone cool and significantly benefits the plant. A clematis in a container on a patio or balcony is genuinely one of the most impressive gardening achievements available, and the visual reward is exceptional. Number 10. Lungwort. The name does it no favors. The plant is extraordinary. Lungwort, pulmonaria, is a shade-loving perennial with foliage unlike almost anything else in the garden. Deep green leaves covered in silver spots and splashes create a texture that looks almost hand-decorated. The flowers that appear in early spring are small, funnel-shaped clusters that open pink and mature to blue, and in that transition period, both colors often appear simultaneously on the same plant, which is genuinely magical to witness. Among perennials for shade containers, lungwort is one of the earliest to bloom, often flowering while temperatures are still quite cold. That means it's providing for the very first pollinators of the year at a time when little else is available. The spotted foliage remains attractive throughout the entire season after the flowers fade, and the plant spreads gently without ever becoming aggressive. In a shade container alongside Japanese painted fern and hostas, lungwort completes one of the most layered, textured, and sophisticated plant combinations available to any gardener. Number 11. Hostas. They had to be on this list. Hostas are, by almost any measure, the definitive shade container perennial, and the variety range is staggering, from tiny miniatures small enough to fit in a teacup to enormous specimens producing leaves the size of dinner plates. Foliage color spans every shade of green, blue-green, gold, and chartreuse, frequently with streaked or margined patterns in cream and white that look almost painted. In a container, hostas perform magnificently from the moment their tightly furled shoots push through the soil in spring to their autumn fade. Summer brings lavender or white flower spikes that attract hummingbirds. Container growing actually helps by somewhat restraining their natural spread, keeping the plant tidy and well-defined throughout the season. Moisture is the one non-negotiable. Hostas are thirsty, particularly during summer heat. A large container, moisture-retentive potting mix, and consistent watering are the three things needed for success. Provide those, and hostas will reward with years of genuinely effortless, stunning beauty. Number 12. Hardy geraniums. Not to be confused with the tender pelargoniums that are commonly called geraniums in garden centers, true hardy geraniums are perennial, tough, and outstanding in containers. They produce masses of delicate cup-shaped flowers in pink, purple, blue, violet, and white over a remarkably long period, often blooming from late spring into late autumn with regular deadheading. The deeply cut foliage is attractive even when the plant isn't in flower, and many varieties develop lovely autumn color before dying back for winter. In a container, the mounding, slightly spreading habit fills the filler role in a mixed arrangement beautifully. They tolerate sun and partial shade equally well, aren't particularly demanding about soil as long as drainage is adequate, and they resist pests and diseases reliably. Among all the perennials on this list, hardy geraniums may be the most straightforwardly uncomplicated to grow. Number 13. Japanese forest grass. While ornamental grasses appeared as number 6, Japanese forest grass, Hakone Cloa macra, deserves its own dedicated place because in shaded containers it performs at an entirely different level. Long, arching blades cascade over the edges of a container like a slow-moving waterfall. The variety aureola, striped in bright gold and green, seems to generate its own light in a shaded spot. The effect is genuinely luminous. Slow-growing and well-behaved, it will never overwhelm a container or crowd out neighbors. The contrast it provides against the broad, bold leaves of hostas is visually extraordinary. As autumn progresses, the foliage shifts through warm pink and bronze tones before dying back and returning the following spring, looking every bit as beautiful as the year before. Japanese forest grass is priced at a premium compared to many perennials, but it lasts for many years and improves consistently with age. The long-term value is exceptional. Number 14. Hellebores, the Lenten rose. Hellebores may be the most refined and sophisticated plant on this entire list. They bloom in late winter and early spring, sometimes while snow still covers the ground, producing downward nodding flowers in cream, blush pink, deep plum, slate purple, near black, and combinations of speckled and spotted patterns so intricate they look hand-painted. In a container, the value of hellebores is the timing. They bring beauty and color at precisely the moment when virtually nothing else in the garden is willing to perform. The foliage is evergreen in most climates. Those attractive, deeply cut, leathery leaves look good throughout the entire year. They tolerate shade, resist deer and slugs, and once established, handle drought with quiet resilience. Patience is required with hellebores. The first season in a container tends to be modest. By year 2 and year 3, however, the plant fully reveals itself, and at that point, particularly in those gray late winter weeks when garden color is precious beyond measure, a well-established container hellebore becomes something genuinely special. They are a long-term relationship, and they are absolutely worth every day of the wait. Number 15. Lavender. No list of container perennials would be complete without it. Lavender is beloved worldwide for reasons that accumulate quickly. The fragrance, the color, the wildlife it draws in, the culinary versatility, the calming presence. And in a container, it finds conditions that suit it extremely well. Sharp drainage is the primary requirement for lavender, and a well-draining container filled with gritty compost delivers exactly that. Full sun is the other non-negotiable, and positioning a container gives you the freedom to place lavender wherever the strongest sun falls. Those iconic silver-gray stems topped with deep purple flowers appear from early summer and draw pollinators with remarkable reliability. Bees locate a container of lavender from distances that seem almost implausible.
In colder climates, the container advantage becomes especially meaningful. Moving lavender to a sheltered spot or an unheated greenhouse for winter can extend its productive life significantly, something impossible when it's planted in the ground. Positioned near outdoor seating, a pot of lavender in bloom on a warm summer evening creates an atmosphere that no other plant quite replicates. Those are the 15 perennials that come back year after year, ask very little of you, and deliver returns on your investment that compound beautifully with.
Quick recap before you go. Coral bells for foliage color that rivals any flower. Japanese painted fern for elegant shade coverage. Lamb's ear for soft texture and drought resilience. Creeping phlox for spring color so dense it stops conversation. Astilbe for feathery summer drama. Ornamental grasses for movement and year-round structure. Sedum for late-season color and wildlife at a time most gardens have given up. Daylilies for bold midsummer impact. Clematis for spectacular vertical climbing beauty. Lungwort for early spring magic and year-round spotted foliage. Hostas for the ultimate shade container performance. Hardy geraniums for easy, long-season color. Japanese forest grass for luminous, cascading shade beauty. Hellebores for late winter sophistication. And lavender for fragrance, color, and the hum of bees on a summer afternoon. Building a container garden around perennials means every passing year works in your favor. The plants grow stronger, the displays become richer, and the time and money you once spent on replacements stays in your pocket. Your containers become a genuine investment rather than an annual expense. A thumbs up on this video costs nothing and means a great deal. It helps this content reach more gardeners who need exactly this information. And subscribing takes 3 seconds, but connects you to a regular stream of practical gardening content that actually works in the real world. Hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and you'll never miss a new video. Drop a comment below. Which of these 15 perennials are you most eager to try in a container first? Every comment gets read, and the answers genuinely inform future content. Until next time, keep growing.